Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers as well as coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Baja Blast podcast. That's we talk about anime sometimes on here. We're gonna start off the new year by actually going backwards to last year with the fall 2018 season. We're going to talk about the anime that we watched, that we liked. Maybe we didn't like them so much. I don't know. But, yeah, it's a follow-up to our First Impressions podcast earlier a couple months ago. So if you haven't checked that out, maybe you can. It's pretty good. But until then, everyone from that group is back, including me and Fate Steel Taylor.
Hey! How's it going, everyone? I'm here to kick ass and slay goblins. I'm all out of goblins.
Oh no, he's out of business now.
Guys, give me gold coins, please. I have no more goblins to slay.
And also, Kaverick.
What's up? I just came back like 30 minutes ago, past midnight in Blizzard. And first thing I'm going to do is just record some anime podcasts, right? That's
yeah.
Just another average day in Kaverick land.
Yeah.
And our returning guest is Vanser.
A 100% normie, 0% qualified. Here to talk to you guys about some anime.
Yeah,
fantastic. Perfect. So, yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said. Oh, actually, before I get into the shows that we are talking about, there's one very important show that some people had they brought up some complaints that we didn't that we regrettably left off what is arguably the most important anime of maybe the entire decade, and that is Conception. Well, it is true. We didn't talk about Conception in the First Impressions, and we're not going to talk about it in the retrospective on this podcast either. However, we have left that honorable duty to a good friend of ours, Colonel Panic, friend of the show, friend of the Discord. He's even gotten some of the other members of the podcast, like Shaw and Sinris, on for an episode or two.
You know, me too.
Oh, Vanser was on there too.
I was on there twice.
Oh man, yeah. Our friend Panic did a weekly podcast for every single episode of Conception called the Conception Nutcast, with 2 T's in the word nut, because that's what we do around here. So check that out if you want. I didn't see Conception, but I had more fun just listening to the podcast, because just hearing about what that show is so interesting.
I
exciting.
also heard, Moz, that the guests who appeared on the podcast did not watch Conception either.
Some of them were just like, I only saw this one episode.
Yeah, Panic actually asked me, and he said, "You don't have to watch the show," and I said, "Nah, it's cool." He asked me to be on, but I thought it was more fun to just hear about it secondhand and just listen to the podcast. But anyway,
so the quality of that episode of the podcast is on par of the anime, which they're talking about.
Sure, you could put it if you could think about it that way. I guess you could say that. Yeah. Anyway, so check that out if you want to hear some of us talk about Conception. Otherwise, we're going to talk about another very important anime of the season, one about a certain bunny girl, and that's the name of the show.
Essentially Rascal, yeah.
Yeah, Rascal does not dream of bunny girl. Can I say something real quick about the show and this title before we even really get into it?
Uh-huh.
Go for it.
Fate?
You got amnesia. He forgot.
Is that the joke? Is it the fucking amnesia thing?
It is probably a joke.
Cav, did you mute him again?
This joke is 200. Is 200 IQ for me.
I mean, the show is 200 IQ for me as well, so...
Goodbye.
Okay.
Oh, he's dead.
Okay.
This is too meta. Okay, Kaverick, what did you think about Bunny Girl?
Alright, yeah. So, in our initial podcast, I wasn't... Okay,
Hello.
he's back.
I am back. I have gone over my, what was it? The puberty syndrome? Or however the show likes to call it.
Yeah.
And I'm here to talk about the thing that afflicted me while watching the show. So I have been burnt before about titles, because I don't realize how important titles are to certain anime. Like I was very shocked when Haruhi disappeared in the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, and I was unable to recognize which Shakespeare play they were referencing for the longest time in Zetsuen no Tempest. So I've learned from my mistakes. And so I'm watching the show, I'm like, okay, Bunny Girl Senpai, she's gonna be in a bunny girl suit a lot this show. I'm going to really come into the show expecting this, because I've read the title, and I remember the title now. She was in a bunny suit for what? Like 3, 4 minutes total throughout the entire show over the course of 2 episodes.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
What?
Wait,
Moz, did you not watch it?
Yeah.
No, I only saw like half of the first episode, and she was in the suit. You mean that was the only scene?
Yes,
Like one other
exactly.
scene she's in it, helping him study.
And
She's in it.
this, and like 5 seconds of opening. Yeah.
Yeah, later he's like, oh, she's like, what would help you study? And he's like, oh, if you were in that bunny girl suit. And then she's in the bunny girl suit, and he's like, I didn't think you'd actually do it. And she's like, oh, I figured I'd throw you a bone. And then end scene.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, okay. So you know what? I dropped this show pretty early on, and I've been thinking this whole season, maybe I should come back to Bunny Girl, because this got very popular, this got very, very well received. So I'm thinking, maybe I'll give it a second chance, and then I've been busy with other stuff, so I didn't have time to come back to it. But now hearing about this shit, fuck this show, I'm not watching it.
Yo, it straight up lied to me in the title. How dare they do that? God, I feel so betrayed, so betrayed. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. Anyway, so Bunny Girl Senpai. Besides the
Oh, I get it now.
Before
The
this
delay, though.
Yes, before this podcast, Cav said I made the worst joke of 2019. I think I've already surpassed it twice.
Yeah.
With Bunny Girl
Keep going.
Senpai, despite the bait and switch with the title and the expectations it gave us, unfortunately, I'd say I overall really enjoyed this. I'd say overall I enjoyed this. It's probably more accurate, actually. It was really similar in a lot of ways to shows we've gone before, like school harem setting. MC can solve all these girls' problems kind of shows, like we've seen with Saikano, Oregairu, Shoujo Tachi, Eva Monogatari to an extent. But in a lot of ways, it was also different, slightly. But before we get into that, I don't know, Cav, Vance, what do you guys think?
Cav started to talk when you rejoined, so I'll let him go.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Cav, I'm so sorry. See, this is why I'm the worst.
Yeah, when we had our initial recording, like our first impressions, I wasn't very enthusiastic about this one, and I'm still not. It's a pretty average show overall. I can't say it's bad. I think it's alright. It was kind of fun to watch. The girls were cute, I guess. That's the most important aspect. But it all came down to how plastic it felt to me. Like how unnatural everything was. It's probably all comes down to the main character Sakata being so unbelievably perfect. Like in every aspect and regard. And when his flaws were shown, they were so ridiculously portrayed, it made him even worse in retrospective. Like, the way how he yelled all the time, the way how he overreacted to many things and, like, was, I don't know, screaming, I don't know, like, going around in this, rain and stuff like that. It was pretty ridiculous. I couldn't believe him any second what he was doing, and it kind of spoiled the whole experience for me, how I experienced the show. It was really not interesting. Like, many harems depend on how the main character perceives the girls, how he interacts with them, and here I really wasn't invested in Sakuta at all. He felt really, really fake to me, and that's why I couldn't really enjoy this light novel adaptation as I could have been.
All right then.
How about you,
Yeah,
Vance?
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I haven't seen a lot of, like I said, actually, I've said multiple times before, I haven't seen a whole lot of anime, so you're comparing this to a lot of other shows that it may have not done as well comparatively. But since I haven't seen any of those shows, to me, this is like something new, where it's like, so taking it from that perspective, I enjoyed it, and it's just like brimming with like, brimming with like really amazing girls that I think that were like, honestly, if they all had like their own, if it wasn't for another person in the show, they could have been the best girl of that show. Because I know there's like 3 or 4 in the show where I have different friends who say this is the best girl, even though there are, there are so many. There's only one real right answer, and that's Mai, obviously. But there are so many others that are just such good characters.
It's a weird way to say Tomoe, but continue.
Yeah, exactly. See, there's so many. Like, I thought a lot of the characters were like really fun, and I enjoyed watching them on screen. At least for the most part. The last couple episodes, like, wore me a little bit. Oh, yeah.
The final arc, it was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was...
The Moe blob of Kaede, the little sister of Sakuta, was really not good.
Yeah.
I couldn't care.
I'm gonna be honest.
A little bit about it.
I'm gonna offer a differing opinion. I actually liked that arc, but first of all, I laughed really hard when Sakuta, like, spoilers obviously, but when he left the hospital after like the real Kaede came back,
it was so dumb.
I laughed so hard. He looked so dumb. It really took me out of the scene. But then when Shoko started reading the diary, I cried a little.
I did like that.
I cried a little, but like, as longtime listeners will know, I cried like literally everything, so that means nothing for like the overall arc of this. It's interesting though, Vance, that you say like, because you haven't seen of the other shows, that it seems like very fresh, because it's funny, right? Because like, you watch a derivative show, but if you don't know derivative, you're able to watch it on its own. And I do wonder sometimes, like, let's say I watched this in a vacuum, right? And I hadn't seen the likes of Monogatari, I hadn't seen Oregairu, I hadn't seen Saikano, I hadn't seen
Kokoro Connect.
I
haven't read.
Oh, Kokoro Connect. That's a really good comparison that I didn't think of before. Yeah. Kokoro Connect, Anohana to an extent as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're all light novel adaptations, which kind
Anohana
of deal
being
with...
original, but yeah, the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of Haruhi parallels as well.
Yeah, some.
Exactly. And I saw Anohana. I can't see as many comparisons to Anohana, but
I was thinking more of let's like problem solving for all these people who have all these problems.
Yeah, and like kind of the mystery aspect where someone's come back and you're like, what's the deal with this and how do we fix everything?
Right. Yeah. But like, to me, this felt just like, but it did feel different. Like, I liked it more than Saikano. And this is despite the fact that like, I really like Kato Megumi, and I like Utaha a fair bit as well. But for me, I like the story of Bunny Girl more than I did at least Saikano season 1 and 2.
I felt like direction of Bunny Girl felt kind of flat as well, especially when compared to Seikano. Seikano was produced by A1 and it had like very polished production, and it has like some kind of weird direction as well, with some kind of play with colors and stuff like that. Bunny Girl was like looked very uninteresting to me. Like,
I mean, it was Cloverworks,
so...
right? Which is which is just a subsidiary of A1 Pictures. So
yeah, but it wasn't really anything special, like visual wise. It was like very textbook adaptation.
Oh yeah.
Let's just get to me, and it was like not very.
It was safe.
Interesting. Probably, like, I don't know. If you compare it like to the best anime of the genre, like Monogatari series, for example, which is like a feast visually, and it's like not in favor of Bunny Girl.
But if you compare it to Saikano, I'd say actually the character designs in this. Maybe I'm biased because the original character designs for Saikano are so gorgeous, and then in the anime they feel so flat. That I felt
Is that
like
why the second season is called Saikano Flat?
Hey!
Oh yeah.
No, it's because literally none of the girls are flat, and so none of the girls are justice. Obviously, there is no justice in Saikano Flat.
I would say overall Bunny Girl is a fair show. It's not a bad one, but there's nothing really exceptional for me at least about it. So yeah, it's a decent watch. I do not really regret like watching it for like 4 hours overall. Yeah, it's fair. It's decent. I had my laughs. I had like some cool moments. My favorite arc is probably not popular opinion, but my favorite one was with Futaba. With the science girl. Yeah, I felt like it was pretty good because it was the one where the girl didn't fall for Sakata.
Holy shit, this chick is really hot.
Which one are you talking about?
Futaba.
Okay, yeah, see, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's
Brimming
actually one of the
with
plot
waifus.
points, which is really interesting because she talks about like how uncomfortable she was with her body for like maturing faster than her classmates.
Oh no, I'm so sorry I said that. That was inappropriate.
No, I mean, she's
like
a fictional character.
like,
it's fine.
I felt like that arc was kind of different in the tone. It was a bit more melancholic and kind of sad. Like, not in a like pretentious sad way like it was with Kaede, but like
It was
like a bit melancholic. It was decent. I liked it.
It was like pitiable. Like I felt like so bad for like when she was when her like other personality started taking pictures of her, like taking the pictures of herself and her body and posting it on the internet. I was like, oh shit, like this is, and then she got the creeper text. I was like, that was fucked up. But for me, I want to say the Tomoe arc, despite how, so first of all, I hate how like fantasy fulfillment Mai is, cause she's like, she's so okay with Sakura doing literally anything. She's like, yeah, you can fake date this girl for the entire summer, or like, yeah, you can totally meet up with your ex or like your first love on the beach by yourself, or like you're totally okay having like so and so over. Like, it feels like she's almost so forgiving and like so lenient of him.
I mean, yeah, I guess you can see that to a sense, but it's also, I see it as just like she's very trusting of him, and she knows like what they have is strong, and he's not just going to go off like and seeing how he interacts with all these other people when she's there and when she's not there. She knows he's coming from a place trying to help his friend, because it's like, these were my friends before you.
Well, just not because, Tomoe.
Well, yeah, but I mean like Futaba and like his sister and all his other friends. It's like, they were here before you. Just because now I'm dating you doesn't mean I can't continue to help and talk to my friends.
That I think definitely applies with Futaba, but with like Tomoe, I was just like, you guys literally just started dating.
Yeah.
And and he confessed to everyone, and now you're okay with him going around the school and pretending to have like dumped you, date someone else, and then you two will get back together. Like,
yeah, that's
I don't know. Especially in like a very new relationship, it felt like it was almost too convenient. But regardless, I'm a sucker for like love stories that feature someone who knows they can like never end up with the main character or the main love interest.
Yeah.
But still like confesses to them and loves them anyway. So because of that, Tomoe, like with her confession and her arc, like that just like was very much catering to me. So I did like that.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I think either that one or the Mai arc were my favorite. And that's the thing about the show. It's like, you can pick and choose. If you choose to ever do a rewatch of it, it's very clear-cut arcs. Like every 3 episodes or every 2 episodes or whatever, it's a new arc. And you can choose which ones you want to watch and which ones you don't want to watch. Because it's like, if I come back to the show, I can watch like those 2 arcs and like the Futaba arc, and then just skip Kaede and like his first love or whatever, and then it's like a 9 or a 10, whereas with those 2 arcs in there, I gave it an 8.
All right. Well, that was pretty thorough, I hope. I don't have a good segue for this, but the next show.
Oh wait, before we, what did you guys give the show? Oh, there goes Fate.
Oh, sure.
He didn't want to answer.
Bye, Fate.
Kev, what did you give the show?
I didn't give it anything.
I'm still haven't given any
Welcome.
false show any ranks, but
Okay.
it would be like 5 to 6 for me.
Okay. Fate, do you have any idea what you'd score it yet?
He's dead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's
I think
He's
figuring
dead.
stuff out.
Just like the characters in this next show,
Ooh.
Zombieland Saga. Thanks for that great setup, Fate.
Like, he gave you the segue, then Reed disappeared.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah. Anyway,
Nice back.
Zombieland Saga is hi Fate.
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I think my computer's been taken over by Mai. So it
Oh,
keeps kicking
no.
me off every time I don't say nice things about her and talk about Tomoe anyway. So I think we should let's continue talking about Zombieland.
Leave us
Saga.
alone, Mai. The section's over. So Zombieland Saga, for me, I think is the funniest show of the whole year. Actually, I think I'm not sure if it delivered on all fronts, but I will still say that this show was extremely enjoyable, and I liked it a lot. I was actually even surprised. Maybe I think the show, at first, what it has going for it is that it has the element of surprise. You're not supposed to know anything about it going into it, and of course, this is like what's so fun about seasonals. This is kind of why I keep coming back, because I think that seasonal anime is kind of like an event, and the discussion and the weekly releases, it's all part of the event. So we're all just kind of piling in here, and we're experiencing this show for the first time. We don't have any knowledge of it. We don't know what's going to happen later. It's an original show. So I think that was what was so fun about it, just being surprised week by week. And eventually it kind of stops doing that. It has to cool down. But it then revealed that it has a really great cast of characters who are really, most of them at least, they basically developed the ones that needed to be developed, essentially. And
Yeah.
I think that the writing of the show overall was actually surprisingly great. And that's what makes this is what puts it above just a funny comedy and then into the elite list of like actually really, really great shows.
Yeah, because they build the show and get you hooked initially with its comedy and its like outlandish humor with the zombies and everything, and then just a couple episodes in, suddenly you realize you know a lot about these girls and you care about them and want to see them succeed.
Yeah,
And then
they
it's
hit you with the
usually-
feels.
Yeah, and then that's when they kind of transitioned it into more of like an idol show, because that's kind of the story they wanted to tell, I feel like, and use the zombies as like a way to get into the story and show their lives kind of thing.
Yeah. Fate, Cav, what do you guys think?
Ooh, so I am not in agreement on
Oh, big yikes.
Oh boy,
with
here we
Zombieland.
Mute this guy.
I
Throw
know.
down.
Mute me again.
Did you give it a 6?
No, what did I give it, a 3?
What
Oh,
Yeah, I
Fate's
did
coming
not-
out swinging with both hands.
This is the real. He really put the 3 in the 3 Gatsu.
Yeah. Sangatsu no lion. I am not lion.
Oh.
So
Good vibes, good rhymes.
yeah, this I didn't like I for like, you share this a lot, that humor is subjective. So like people's like tastes and humor can vary, but for me there were 2 good episodes, which was the one with Lily and her journey of being trans as a child and her gender identity, and the rap battle moment was kind of funny, and the biker gang one was kind of touching, and I could not care less about I probably could have cared less about the show, but it would have been very difficult for me to do so.
Damn.
I didn't feel connected to the characters at all. I thought it was just dumb, silly humor. I recognized that, like, first of all, like, Miyano, like, fucking put the team on his back. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
That was a voice acting performance for the ages. That was amazing. I did not care about what he said. I appreciated how he said it, but I didn't care what he was saying. I didn't like it. The idol, like, just generally, I didn't find it funny. I didn't like the OP, the ED. The visuals seemed like really standard and like unimpressive to me. like some stuff looked good. It just wasn't to my taste. It was just one of those shows that just didn't match with me, and it's like, I guess it's hard to fault the show for it. I mean, I will, but like on an objective basis, it just was not a show that hit the right notes for me. And by the end, like, I did not care at all for Sakura's arc. I thought it was really dumb. I like the touching quote unquote moment with the director or producer like picking up the Idol CD, and that like suddenly being the reason why he brought all these girls back to life and like revitalizing Saga or whatever, like and having that interest in her, like it just felt so inauthentic and so slapdash to me. Like it felt like a shoddily assembled zombie. Not to beat a dead idol, but yeah. So I guess for me, it missed on too many notes, and it's like it's not gonna be one of those shows where I'm gonna be like, man, you should feel really bad for liking the show because it was god awful. It's just one of those shows where it just like didn't mesh with me, and that's fine. And it's like I'm not gonna be like, I understand why a lot of people liked it, but it just wasn't a show for me. Like. And I'm honestly surprised that I like shows like Pop Team Epic, because usually that kind of dumb humor just doesn't go well for me. But for like Pop Team Epic's charm and like commitment to and like commitment to be like so much more dumb than anything ever had the right to be, and
also,
like be
something with Pop Team Epic, it keeps your attention because each one of those bits it does is maybe 3 minutes max.
Right.
Like 5 minutes. So it's like, if you're tired of this bit, 30 seconds later you're going to get a new one. So it's one of those shows where it's like, yeah, I can sit through this kind of weak one to hopefully see a funnier one in a second.
Right.
Whereas
so like
a show with this, it's like the bit is through the entire show.
Exactly. Yeah, like the spa episode, like I don't even remember what happened with that one. But yeah, so Zombieland Saga and I did not agree, but that's fine because I don't think I was the target demographic for it. I also have like general problems with MAPPA and their shows, so I might have come in with some prejudice as well. Although I really liked the first 2 episodes, so I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. Cut me off.
On the subject of the ending, I will say that I don't kind of when I said that the show didn't fully deliver. I actually kind of see what you're saying, where the show felt slapdash towards the end, because the soccer arc did kind of come out of nowhere.
That was pretty weak too.
I have mixed feelings on it because it came out of nowhere, and they even were like hyping us up that they were going to do a Yugiri episode when that happened, and then it didn't happen. And it literally felt like they just changed course, like they had an idea for like a full, complete show. Then they realized it was the most popular show of the season, and then they're like, okay, we're going to scrap the 3 episodes we had at the end. Instead, we have a completely new plot, and we're going to branch it off there, because if we do this, then we can make multiple seasons. And I'm not really that interested in this getting a second season, even though I do love the show. And I think it is possible they could still make it happen, but again, I think that the element of surprise is what this show had going for it, and having a second season is going to be...
I also don't know if that's something that, like, logistically the anime studio can do, like, scrapping episodes and, like, changing things on the fly, just because, like, they have to make episodes in advance. But, like...
You're totally right. I'm not going to say that is what happened, just that it did kind of feel that way.
No, but I will say... I totally get where you're coming from, because I also felt that way about Yuri on Ice, which was another MAPPA thing, where I felt like they left it so that they can make sequels. So maybe it was a purposeful thing from the beginning. So
maybe. Though I will say that I do think that they still made it work, because at first when the episode when they were in the mountains, I was kind of thinking like, man, this episode's kind of dumb. Like, what is this? But then I realized, then I got what the joke was. And the joke is that Sakura is mad that the show stopped being an idol show, and it's about something completely unrelated. Because that's what it is. It's an episode about them being in the mountains and survival and shit. And she's like, what the fuck are we doing here? This is an idol show. So I think that they still managed to make it. It was still enjoyable. Maybe not in the same way that the rest of the show was up until that point, but I still think it was good.
Yeah, Cav, will let you talk now.
I want to say that I kind of enjoyed Sakura's arc, actually, the final one.
How dare you, Cav?
Cav, you're like the king of hating Amnesia.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
He's
we're
like,
gonna
wait,
talk
you're
about it.
right.
We're gonna talk about it a lot. Actually, yeah, we didn't talk about it in Body Girl, but yeah, it was dumb here. In Saga, it's actually dumb as well, but I feel like it was explored decently well because it showcased that all Sakura's problems with lack of confidence and like self-loathing, they all exist in her head. Because when she had her initial amnesia, she did good. She could perform, she was successful, etc., etc. But when she regained her memories of her painful past, she decided to give up on everything. It was kind of interesting how it was highlighted that it was all in her head, the problems with her lack of confidence.
Yeah.
So it was interesting how it was in contrast put like together, and I feel like it was well showcased overall, and the message of the show that you have to go forward no matter what, even if you're dead. Yeah, that it's all just a question of your self-esteem and your hard work. I mean, it's kind of, tried, but I feel like it kind of nailed the point still. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ending plenty.
Oh.
Yeah.
But to me, the downfall of the anime is its production. Those idol scenes, like their performances were really rough. Really, really rough. Like, I was like just shaking my head in disbelief, like, why? No, this is so bad. Come on.
I don't even get why they would do that, because they like my problem with the thing overall is just that it's not consistent. Like, they have idol performances that aren't in CG, but then sometimes they just do, and it's like, I don't. And aside from those, I actually think that the rest of the show looks quite good. I mean, it's not like the most Sakuga heavy show out there, but it's still presented well. I think the character designs are excellent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Just the performances themselves, they're like just so flat and just so, like, I don't know, not good. It's really detract me from enjoying the show overall, sadly enough, even though I liked it plenty overall. So yeah, we'll see what they have going for the sequel, which I think is pretty much confirmed by this ending, because there is such a strong hook for the second season. So we'll see where it goes.
What did you guys end up giving the season 1?
I'll give it a 7 pretty much. I'm pretty sure.
Moz?
I gave it a 9.
Ooh, and then a 3 from Chris.
Yeah,
and I gave it an 8.
Yeah,
8,
that
okay.
3 is purely because of the rap battle and the episode with Lily. That's it.
Yikes,
It's
dude.
only
3
2
citruses
points
out of
above
10.
Citrus. Come on.
It's 3 citruses.
It's an orange, a lime, and a lemon.
3 citruses out of 10. But yeah, so that was Zombieland.
This
Also,
whole
it
season,
had nothing to do with the Zombieland movie.
That was a
another
big
minus.
This whole season I was thinking about Cap, because this is the season for amnesia. There was like 7 cases of it this season.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there are so many of them.
There were 3 or more in Bunny Girl, 2 involving the same character, and then there were 2 in this because Kaide got amnesia, then got her memory back, but then it was like having amnesia because she forgot everything that happened before. And then same with Zombieland, is she lost her memory.
Index is
again,
literally all
back.
about Toma, who's lost his memory.
I want to say there was something else. And Gridman had
Gridman kind of
as well.
And
It's
then
the season for forgetting.
the next show maybe a little bit as well, kind of. Not specifically amnesia.
Oh,
It's not amnesia, but it is a girl kind of finding a new life in a new time period, I guess. But this is Iroduku, The World in Colors, the PA Works
Iroduku,
original.
yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. I didn't watch this, but aside from that, I have heard nothing about this show all season. Like,
Yeah.
it's really popular on Mal. It says it's like the 8th most popular show, and yet
Of the
I
season,
haven't heard
you mean.
it has a pretty decent score, but it hasn't. I haven't heard anybody talk about this. So what do you guys think about it?
It's an incredibly average show where
Yeah.
it does some things really well and some things really poorly, so you just don't know what to talk about.
It's
That's basically what it comes down
so mind-numbingly boring and mediocre. My God, take some fucking risks in your life. Goddamn.
to. Got color amnesia.
Shit, yeah, it's color amnesia. Holy shit.
Color
like,
amnesia.
I am not the big, like, I'm gonna come off as like the Skip Bayless of the podcast if we just keep going through these these anime, because first it's Zombieland and now it's Iroduku. But like, I am not a fan of PA Works. I think that's been well established, just generally. But like, man, I thought I was on like a PA Works hot streak because I recently had seen Nagiasu and Hanasaka Iroha, and I liked those, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll like Irozuku. And no, my God, it's so boring. I like fell asleep like 10,000 times. I was like, you can watch in color, but why can't I watch this not at all? Like that would have been.
You could drop it.
I could, but no drops on this train. Yeah, it was just like
You and
really.
trains.
It was really boring, really safe. It was just like, oh, this is an anime. Like if you wanted to show an anime to someone and like play up to all the tropes about melodrama in anime in like a really simple, safe format, this is the show. This is like the yeah. So
My favorite part was the girl who got cucked by someone who was 60 years from the future. I'm like, I can relate
who wasn't
to this
even
character.
trying. She wasn't even like attractive. She wasn't even like doing literally anything to grab that guy's attention.
Yeah.
She literally all she did was like, I'm from the future,
Exist.
and like be really quiet. And she also sees things in black and white, and everyone is like literally, oh my God, how can I put my dick into the 60-year future girl? God.
Yeah. I kind of want to disagree with you, but I can't really. Yeah, it feels really like average. It's really offers nothing new overall. If you've seen like a couple or like a 3-4 teenage dramas, like being set in a high school setting, it's really nothing and other than that. It's really just another teenage melodrama. It does everything by the textbook. It's just another one. It has like your usual character tropes, like some kind of not so simple love figure, I guess.
Yeah, it's not exactly a triangle. It's like a hectogram. It's like
Yeah, it's a
like a
big web.
pentagram. Let's say it's a pentagram.
it's a
Yeah,
very fitting for this show.
yeah, and like it has some kind of cool aspect to it in the form of magic, but the magic isn't really explored. It's like just a cool trick, which
It's just a thing that exists in the world.
Yeah, which just kind of here, and it doesn't really matter at all. So yeah, I don't know. It's really, I really can't say the show is bad. Actually, it just
It's just very textbook.
doesn't do anything really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like at all.
It doesn't stand out in any way, and that's kind of the worst thing you can do in this day and age. Because I won't remember this show in 2 weeks, but I'll remember Conception for the rest of my life because of what that show was.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I will forget about the show in like a season. Like I'll literally forget I ever watched the show. I will have that on Mal, and I'll be like, what the fuck was this show about? And I'll be like, oh, it was the one with like the shitty drawings that like she thought were amazing.
I mean, I can't draw, so I thought they were pretty good.
That's true. I also can't draw, but I've seen enough pictures on screen through anime that I know
Yeah.
some things well drawn. Or at least I'd like to think so.
The
I don't
coolest,
know. Mm-hmm.
the coolest part of the show for sure was like their festival they had at the end, where they
Yes.
used the magic and went into the paintings.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was really cool. Like
it
that's
was
something.
like Chalk Zone from Nick.
Sure,
Yeah, did you ever watch that? It was like the cartoon
I
where they.
can't say I have.
Oh my god! So like they would like draw with magic chalk, and then they'd go into the chalk world and the chalk drawings. It was a blast.
Oh,
Anyway,
I think I have seen that actually.
yeah, it was
I
like
think you just
on
pulled that out of the depths of my mind.
See, you can remember
Holy
Chalk
shit.
Zone, but you won't be able to remember Irozuku.
I guarantee you, in like in 10 years, someone's gonna be like, "Yo, there's this show." They go into a drawing. I'm just gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
But yeah, it was
It exists, so yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it that much. There's just better shows to watch out there, I would say, in the same genre, really.
there
Only
are
if
both
you're like
there are
only if
better
like
shows and there are worse shows.
Yeah.
only if like a
That's-
die-hard fan of teenage drama, like school dramas, yeah, then probably should go give it a watch. But otherwise, yeah, it's not
Also,
really spectacular.
If you want to watch like discount Mario Kart, where if you're like, man, I want to watch more Mario Kart shows, but you're like, but I don't want like full Mario Kart. I want like discount Mario Kart, and then you watch the show. It's perfect.
I want that Rite Aid stuff. Dollar Tree.
That's Sam's Club Mario
Yeah.
Kart.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 6 overall.
That's what I gave it.
I gave it a 4.
That's
'Cause-
fair.
Yeah. It's like you can't be mad at whatever score someone gives
Yeah.
it. If someone gives it like a really high score, you're like, okay, I guess they just really liked it. And someone gives like, you don't have any emotions towards
Yeah.
people's scores about this one. It's like
Literally
whatever.
anything between like anything from 3 to 7, I go, okay.
Yeah.
Anything beyond those, I kind of question it.
Alright.
Well, speaking of better shows, let's get on with a very beautiful, very touching little romance of the purest kind. Yagate Kimi ni Naru, which is Bloom into You.
Oh yeah.
As I said, it's a Yuri show, so that's hype. But
From the title
thing is-
alone, it just sounds
Right.
super gay just from the title.
But the thing that's important to mention is that I think if you're into like, if you're like, oh yeah, gay girls and then doing stuff, that's not the appeal of this anime.
mhm.
It's
There's
not
like
a
2 scenes
citrus.
for you if that's the appeal.
Yeah.
What's
oh
that?
God.
I didn't
Because
hear
he
him.
said like appeal and citrus.
Oh,
like,
that's not what I meant.
Oh, I thought that.
They're
was
just saying that like there are only 2 scenes to watch if you were into that.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. But
But fate finds puns where they're not intended. That's the best part. Oh my god.
Anyway, this show, I'm not really the biggest fan of it.
Ooh.
I wouldn't say it's not my thing, because if it wasn't my thing, then I would have just dropped it. The fact that I completed it says a lot. I'm just saying that I didn't think this was the most enjoyable show in the world for me, but I do think it is very good. And that's because perhaps it's just a matter of like the kind of person you are and like what you maybe look for in with these kinds of shows, because how much you will get out of it definitely depends on how much you relate to the characters, because this is a very introspective type of story about 2 characters who are essentially figuring out who they are really, and like the place that they will have in their own lives, or like the life they will have, and just like where they fit again among all these other people, or some things like that. And like how a relationship can really just like fuck with the machinations of everything you think about, and just kind of change you as a person and all. It's really just about exploring like, you know, the emotional, just the emotions and the mental, whatever word I'm trying to think of, just how a relationship really works mentally and emotionally. You know, kind of looking for someone for emotional support, and also being that person,
Just
who
figuring
is
it
the
out.
emotional support. Yeah, and also being that person who is the emotional support, but isn't exactly getting something else out of it.
Yeah.
And things like that. It's a very, very interesting show, psychologically, I guess. I'm not that it's like a crazy psychological deep thing, but
Yeah, they didn't mention.
I think that-
they didn't mention Schrodinger's cat once.
of course. But I think that it is a very interesting show to watch, and that's why I watched it to the end.
I want to hear what Cav has to say. Is this still your anime of the year right now, Cav?
No, it is not.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, I know I hyped it up a lot in our initial impressions episode. I still like it a lot. I was just kind of disillusioned in the middle of it. There are various factors because why it happened. So, as much as I like Yu, I feel like Yu is a phenomenal character overall. She's a really interesting one. She has a very natural approach to life, I would say, and feels very real. As much I don't really like Toko, the other main character. She feels too dramatic, on the contrary, and kind of too anime, maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
They kind of do not really mesh well with each other. Not like how they interact, Yu and Toko, because they interact really well. They like kind of have interesting dialogues, chemistry and stuff. But the way how two personalities exist in the same story, it doesn't really feel that natural to me. Like, you being so grounded, so passive, so like down to earth, and Toko being so dramatic and so unnatural.
Yeah.
Like how they exist in the same story, it kind of feels weird to me. And when I kind of realized it wasn't really as enjoyable for me as it was in like the first episodes. All supporting cast was kind of as well, like it kind of existed, but it didn't really matter to me as much. The ending was kind of like it didn't exist at all.
Yeah.
I would say
It's a non-ending.
It just kind of like
The manga's still going.
yeah, I don't know, like there was nothing to say about it. But overall, how the anime approached relationship, how you herself was portrayed in this relationship, how she tried her best to be by Toko's side, even though Toko is such a how to say it mildly, uneasy character to deal with. It was all really interesting to see and to follow, I would say. It just looked like really, really cool. I also liked the final like episodes with Toko, even though I didn't like her for the majority of the anime. The final like 2 episodes where her main goal was brought down, it was really cool. Like, it was enjoyable for me. So yeah.
Alright. Fate, do you have any comments on it?
Yeah, it's... So... first of all, I'm not going to be Skip Bayless for this one. So Moz said that how the mileage on your show may vary depending on how relatable the show is to you. Mm-hmm. I will posit that I am neither gay nor a girl.
Got it.
So on the surface level, certain things weren't relatable to me.
Sure.
But I think overall that kind of does get to the heart of this, which is that it really gets to the introspective the introspection of a high school and trying to live up to expectations. And I think this also did a really fantastic job of showing like LGBT teenagers in their families and how they're handled. Especially with there's that one moment where Yu is at home and they're like her family's there and they're like, oh, who are you talking to, like who have you been spending time with? And they're like, oh, it's Toko. And they're like, oh, she's a friend. And then like her sister jokes like, oh, is she your girlfriend? And his dad's like, oh, don't even joke about that, like my heart's not ready for it. And I'm like, damn, that's like that just felt like a very real thing a parent would say about a possible LGBT youth, or like your typical not so open-minded parent might say. And like I say this as with my one of my best friends being out and having strained relations with his parents because of his coming out. And so like when I watched things like that, I was like, dang, like they like hearing it from him, hearing it from other friends, and like seeing it play out, I was like, damn, like the small, and like it's a very quote unquote SJW word, but the microaggressions that display towards like Toko and Yu's relationship, whether it is romantic or whether like in the beginning or how it evolves, I felt was very realistic and very well done. And I thought the direction of the show was very, very well done. So like the actual plot of the show and the characters and especially the ending, I was like, wasn't hugely sold on, but I loved the music. The music was fantastic. Soundtracks were great. The soundtrack was great. The direction was great. I really liked some of the directorial things they did, like with the one guy who's like kind of creeper in the student council who like saw Toko and Yu kiss, and I was like,
Maki,
I'm always on, Maki, always on the sideline. But then like they showed him like in a movie theater seeing everything play out. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
And the lighting was always nice, like how like there's so much orange in this show, right? Because so many of the moments happen at sunset, and Yu's hair color also being orange. And I think that's something that you can get within anime being in color that you can't necessarily get in manga, which is usually in black and white. So I liked the way they tied those in, and I especially really liked how often they had important moments by trains. Like they have that one kiss as by the crossing as the train passes by, and I love trains and I love romantic moments that happen near trains and train stations. So that to me was like really awesome. So I really liked that.
Yeah.
The OP in particular was a real grower for me.
Yeah.
At first it was a skipper, but then for whatever reason I kind of saw it more and more. And I'm like, yeah. In the defense of the side characters, though, back to what Cav was saying, one thing I actually really liked about this show is not the side characters specifically, but the fact that they were left on the side. Maybe with Sayaka to an extent, but she at least had a reason to be involved with the plot. But I think that what was a strength for this series is that it never strayed off its path. It was always about you and Toko. There were many opportunities for this show to branch off and do something different. When that one guy saw them kiss and told you about it, I immediately posted it on Twitter because I said he has the character design of someone who's going to ruin the show. He has the power to do this, and I thought, please don't make this a thing where they have to keep their relationship secret and it's like more of a drama about that. And that's not what happened. Thank God that character didn't get involved with the plot.
Right.
And the last arc is they have they're doing a school play, but you don't even see them do the play in the whole show.
Yeah.
I mean, we assume it happens, but it makes sense that it's a great sort of thing because it actually reflects Toko's character really well. And we've actually seen school plays used a lot in romances like Koito Uso, and there was something else I was thinking of that did this.
There's all plenty of them.
Masamune-kun's Revenge.
That's funny. I was thinking the same thing, but I was like, there's no way Maz is thinking of that show.
Wait, what show?
This Masamune-kun's Revenge. I was like, there's no way Maz is going to make reference to that show.
Oh, I remember Masamune-kun's Revenge, alright.
Still waiting for season 2.
But we've seen school plays and shows and romances like those, and they just exist, and it's usually like a thing where it's like, oh, the main character is gonna kiss the girl finally. Ooh. It's like, who the fuck actually cares? It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's whatever. But this, they actually they tied it into the plot really well. So I'm glad that the author just kind of kept it in a straight line.
Yeah, I was so surprised when Kayomi's play was revealed. It was so dark, like so really grim overall. Like the story of this play.
Yeah, more
like,
amnesia.
I couldn't believe they would actually like do and perform it. I thought be like just like a light comedy or like something like that, but like a really like heavy drama with amnesia once again.
Yep, ever present.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Yeah, and I liked how it tied to the plot overall. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I liked that they. At first, I didn't like that they didn't have the play at the end, but thinking about it more, I kind of liked that they didn't have it in there. Because the whole point of the play wasn't the fact that it was a play, it was the story that was written for the play, and because they had acted out the story so many times before going to the play, we didn't need to see it because everything that needed to be said had already been said during like their study camp or during when they went to the aquarium or amusement park or as the aquarium when they just like rehashed it waiting for the penguins to come out. So we didn't need to see them recreate it on a big stage because we got what we needed.
Mm-hmm. And also what Fate said with the directing and all. The directing in this show is very good. I like the way the show looks overall. I think that Troika did a really good job of porting these character designs, or just the general art style of the manga, over to the anime, because it has a very simplistic style to it, but it still looks modern. I wouldn't say it's low budget or anything.
It's like a nice warm feeling to it.
Yeah. It's just it's a charming simplicity. I think Yu is extremely adorable, not in like a sexual way or anything. I just think she's cute. I like her hair. She's got cool hair.
What a fucking weirdo!
Yeah.
and I also want to commend Yu's voice actress.
That's also really great.
I believe she did a spectacular job.
Yeah.
Making Yu a kind of indifferent, but at the same time kind and interesting girl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Moz,
yeah, she's a really great character.
Did your opinion change on the character designs, or still not a fan of the grocery bag clothing?
No, I'm not. I don't like the school uniforms, but they at least don't wear the uniforms too much, and they have lots of casual outfits.
Yeah, I did. I
so
really like that. It's funny because I didn't see the grocery bags until I like thought about it, and then I was on, like episode 9, and I just saw it, and I was just like, "Oh no, I can't unsee these grocery bags now."
Yeah, no, it was. Oh, but I really like speaking of their outfits, it reminded me of the scene where they go to the coffee shop and they see their teacher's partner. And like, first of all, they all look great in their casual clothes. But second of all, that was also a really good scene, especially with Sayaka and Sayaka's arc. So, but yeah, good outfits.
I gave this show, even though I said I didn't enjoy it too much, I kind of rated it based on, I think, the quality of it and what this show offers. So I gave it an 8.
Ooh.
8. Ooh. That's the same for me. Give it an 8 as well.
Nice.
8.
I haven't finished it, unfortunately. I'm 2 episodes away from the end, so I'm leaving my rating until then, but I'm looking forward to it.
I also gave it an 8.
I'll probably give it an 8, to be honest.
Yeah. Also, right now, the score on Mal is 8.00.
Yeah, it's exactly it. I was just looking at that too.
Everyone is just like, yeah, this is an 8. That's it. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
Nothing
easy.
to talk about here.
Yeah, and what might also be an 8, or maybe not. It's a show we didn't actually cover in the first impressions because it technically wasn't out when we were recording it, because the show started very late into the season, and I believe the first episode had to be pushed back another week because of the earthquake that happened. Something that happened. Anyway, it's the new Kyoto animation show about boys who do archery shit called Tsurune. Who watched Tsurune?
I did not.
I did not.
Oh no.
I've been watching it. I'm not all caught up because this thing I do with airings is that it's counterintuitive. I keep up like almost religiously with the shows I hate and like stay up to date with them and like watch them as soon as they drop. But like the shows I really like I'm like, I'm not in the right mood to watch this right now. I'm gonna wait.
I completely understand what you're saying here.
Because then also,
same.
If you're watching a bad show, you're like,
same.
I don't want to watch 3 episodes of this in a row, so I'd rather just watch it a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, and like, but with like a good show, it's like I want to like be able to sit down and like really focus on the show and enjoy it. And Tsurune, from all I've gathered from the 5-6 episodes I've seen so far, is that it's just really. So it's different because it's not like, especially after if you watch, say, even just this past year, Violet Evergarden and Listen to Bluebird, and Free, you expect like, you think killer animation, quality animation, and you think, oh, it looks like this certain way, but Tsurune looks very simplistic and like simplified, but in that simplification, it looks very fluid and it looks very pleasant. And I've been enjoying it for that. the storylines so far have been a little melodramatic, but I think that's what we can expect from the studio that gave us Free as well. But so far I've really liked the character interactions, and especially how they subvert a couple of tropes, like the and this isn't really a spoiler, but like the main character meets like this mysterious archer on a mountain shrine who like is only lit by the moon, and then later is told that like, oh, you met so and so, but he died 2 years ago.
Whoa!
And they're like, what?
Nani?
And then like he shows up later. It's like, oh no, she mixed me up for someone else. That old grandma has like a really terrible memory. I'm not dead.
No.
What the fuck?
It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, so they played it off well, because you're like, man, like he imagined this like archer because he's going through such a tough time and like through this depression, and like this person, like this spirit comes to him in his time of need, and she's just like, no, I'm just an average guy. Like the grandma just fucked up because she's really fucking old. But yeah, so it plays it really straight after that. I'm excited to see how it continues to go, because of course, like, I love Kyoto Animation. I'm incredibly biased in that sense, but I'm really excited to see how it develops, especially since I believe it's still got a couple episodes to air because of the tsunami that hit in the early parts of fall 2018.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, I think there's still an episode or two left to be aired, I'm pretty sure. I want to say it's 2.
So it is still technically an airing and not yet a seasonal.
Yeah.
Whew.
Alright.
Alright. Well, that's Tsurune. Next show, I believe this is also the Fate exclusive.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh.
Juliet.
Kishuku, Juliet no Gakkou, or whatever.
Sure.
I know
Yeah, sorry.
those words all are in the title. I don't know if I said it in the right order. Yeah, it's like your typical ecchi harem rom-com. Think like Nisekoi, but like actual more panty shots. And like more, yeah, it's like, yeah, just think like Nisekoi, but they actually like each other from the start instead of like pretending like they don't. But pretending to date anyway, so it's like the opposite, right? Because in Nisekoi, they pretend they are dating, but they don't actually like each other. But in Juliet, they like each other, but they pretend they're not dating because of like the factions between the dogs and the cats. But yeah, it's got some nice moments. The school festival arc was pretty fun. There's like some nice couple moments between the two. But it's like, it's something you just put on in the background, just like mindlessly watch. It's not something to me that was like extraordinarily amazing. The guy has a bunch of girls who like him. The girl has a bunch of guys who like her. So like there's harem aspects there. But yeah, it's just a show. The OP is by Flipside though, and Flipside is one of my favorite artists who do anime OPs. They did the Railgun OPs as well as the main singer. She voiced Eri Chika in Love Live.
I hate this band.
Also,
I'm going through the character designs right now. There are these two, I guess they're Chinese, but there are these two sisters that have like Chinese dresses, but they also have the school jacket, but their sleeves are too big for their... What the fuck are these character designs?
Okay, so they're like elementary school age kids.
What?
They're so smart that they accelerated through like middle school, and now they're in the high school. And they're prefects, and they're older than the main guy, but like he dotes on them. But
like, wait, one of them has tits.
Yeah, Maz, I didn't say this was a good show now, did I? I said this was an ecchi harem comedy show.
Most girls have tits, you know? Sometimes that happens.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Maz.
Maz, I'm sorry we had to tell you like this. Are you gonna be okay?
I hope.
What happened to 2019 was gonna be a better year. We've already ruined 2019 for him.
I've never been more betrayed.
Alright.
Well, hopefully we can move on from this incredibly stressful event, because this next show is my favorite Iyashike of 2018, Goblin Slayer.
Hey,
Wait, it's not an Ashike, is it?
For me, it is actually.
It's a.
I'm okay.
Is Isekai or Yashige?
No. I did not mess up my terminology.
Yeah. No,
nope.
You hear me.
Goblin Slayer, for me, was actually a nice, relaxing show. Because this is just what I do. I'm the guy who thinks that violence is funny. And let me tell you, Fate, what you said earlier about, like, you know, not keeping up with the shows you really like, Goblin Slayer, as much as I loved it, I only watched it just kind of sporadically throughout the season. Not when it... I don't think I ever watched any episode like immediately after as it came out, except for the first episode and the last one, because I had to review it. But every now and then, I would come home from work, and it's cold outside, so I'd come home and I'd make myself a big bowl of cream of wheat in this exact specific way, and I'd go downstairs and I'd turn on an episode of Goblin Slayer, and I'd have a nice cup of hot cocoa as well. And it was such a pleasant time, because, for what it's worth, Goblin Slayer, as... It's actually not even... Okay, it actually is really edgy, but I feel like it's not simply a matter of, oh, look at this show, it's a bunch of violence and blood and rape. It's actually something that I think is surprisingly believable and engaging, because what has... How should I put this? I think that the... Oh, goddammit, I'm lost in my own thoughts.
And this guy even wrote a review on this anime.
Yeah, maybe I should just open up and read my fucking review.
Yes, do. It's great. Oh, God.
No, but Goblin Slayer is a believable show, because it's not necessarily a formulaic thing where, you know, every single episode is just about he goes into a dungeon, kills goblins, all this shit. It's about the character himself, and he has this very blunt personality, the kind of like Sheldon Cooper-esque, possibly autistic, I don't know how to talk to people, and so everything I say is like really, it comes off really witty, except he's like brutally honest, essentially. You know, doesn't take social cues very well. And what I think is great is that he's not necessarily glorified in here. Like, there's that one episode where he's, you know, just kind of sitting in the Adventurers Guild, and everyone else around him is just like, look at this fucking asshole Goblin Slayer. Yeah. What a fucking weirdo this guy is. His armor's disgusting. He doesn't talk to anybody. He only takes these dumbass goblins. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? No one seems to really like him. And I think that was actually really cool, especially because, among all of that, you've got the receptionist waifu 2.0 carried over from Violet Everweekly, who's like, hey, you know, all these people, they're going to talk their shit, but that's because you're doing something that nobody else wants to do. But it's something that needs to be done. You're right. Goblins are a problem. They do need to be taken care of. And the fact that you're here, the fact that you're going to do this, you're going to do something that no one else is going to do, you're taking on a necessary job, like, that's really, really important. And I'm glad that you're doing that. Because she understands. She's the fucking receptionist and a fantasy adventurer. She gets hit on by Chad adventurers all day. Who the fuck wants to do her job? I just think that there are lots of different places where Goblin Slayer is a surprisingly genuine show. It's not... I mean, it is gimmicky, because it's very simplistic in how it's all set up. All the characters, their names are literally their characters. Goblin Slayer is Goblin Slayer. Priestess is Priestess. It doesn't do anything particularly amazing. It does have a pretty deep world, but again, it's just going to kill. He's just going to kill goblins all day. That's all it is. And I think that it was nice and, I don't know, just kind of comfy watching Ace. It was comfy because it's simple, but it's also not like a turn your brain off kind of thing. It's just, I don't know, it delivers on what it promises, I guess.
It's one of those people who, he's an expert at what he does, but everyone thinks what he does is super simple, but the way he does it makes it, like, so much more complex. Like, understanding you need to have a shorter sword going in for tunnels, understanding what works best, and then, like, everyone's like, oh, you just kill goblins, you just go in and you think it's nothing. But there's like a lot of steps that he has to go through, and he's learned over like trial and error while fighting them. It's like you get to see those kind of come out, and just like, I love that they do a lot of show not tell with a lot of those things, where they show one of the fights earlier where some dude has a bigger sword and he like clangs the ceiling, or he like hits a rock when he's trying to pull it, whereas Goblin Slayer's just in there slashing people to pieces, looking like an absolute badass.
They also told there that wasn't purely show. Eventually, he was like, "Oh yeah, you did."
He did say it, yeah.
You did this wrong.
I didn't need him to say it. Thankfully, I was just like, "Oh, okay."
Right. But the show,
it did tell sometimes,
yeah.
There's a really good amount of strategy in this show.
Yeah, there really
it actually is. I wouldn't say that this is groundbreaking action or anything, but again, like the fact that it's not just we're gonna. It's like the fact that they actually plan things out, like resource management. Yeah, it's like resource management, and also just efficiency. Like how are we gonna deal with a whole mob? Are we gonna just go in guns blazing, or are we gonna try smoking them out and killing them one by one? What happens if there's an ambush? What if we're not prepared for this sort of thing? Then what do we? All these different things. That was nice.
Anyone else got anything?
Yeah. I guess for me, it was like, first of all, it like started off with the gang rape, which was
pleasant,
not great. It was a thing for sure, and like it was edgy in that sense, but like it wasn't anything I think I'd be like, oh man, this is like the worst show of all time. And it's not a show that I'd say like I enjoyed it so much. I'd probably say, like, to me, I think I gave this, like, a 5 or 4. Like, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't, like, amazing. I wasn't, like, super enthralled by it. It wasn't, like, a show. So, like, just as you, Ma, say that, like, you find violence funny and you find violence enjoyable.
Which
I'm
a nice guy.
Right, no, and that's totally fair, right? Because it's fiction or whatever. But, like, to me, like, senseless, bloody violence, whatever, like... I think I might have liked, like, I'm the same guy who used to like Gare Zero. And I think, like, it's a show that I might have liked when I was growing up. Or maybe, like, I did enjoy certain parts, actually. Like, when they're in the dungeon, they're finding the gigantic goblin, and, like, Goblin Slayer, like, breaks out, like, the scroll or whatever, and, like, does all the strategy, and, like, just goes completely berserk. Whenever his eye does the red thing, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was the hype indicator.
But yeah, to me, it was just like it was a edgy isekai that I'm not surprised got super popular, and I don't really begrudge its popularity. Like, it makes sense. It did exactly what it aimed to do. Yeah.
The funny thing is, it's not even a real isekai. That's just their world. It just has the same setting.
True. It's like a fantasy world kind of thing.
It's technically a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Oh. That is how the people at Crunchyroll explained it at
that's what you mentioned at the impressions.
Yes.
It's actually funny, because I remember you said that, and at first when I heard that, I thought that was just a fellow kids sort of thing, like, ooh, you guys like D&D? Well, this show's like D&D!
Right.
But
actually...
they actually show, like, oh, the gods roll the dice, and I'm like, wait, they were serious!
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, it's something that I'm not surprised was popular, but I'll be shocked if it remains popular seasons from now.
I don't know if it'll remain popular, but I think it'll remain known, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be one of those things like One Punch Man where people were like, Season 2 when for like a year and a half straight.
I liked where it ended, honestly. It's ended on a nice note where he...
They did the Marvel thing where they were like, Goblin Slayer will return in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
I do think that the show will be remembered, but not specifically for its content, because the show has already kind of died out with the hype.
Oh yeah.
But I think that Goblin Slayer, and maybe to an extent Priestess, have really, really iconic character designs.
Yeah.
Because I think that Goblin Slayer with his helmet and the tassel and his red eye, I think those are just really standout things that, it's just a really great icon.
Yeah.
Do you mean the Priestess as in like the one with the bandages over her eye, or the one who tagged along? The small one.
The Priestess. No, the
small
one who tagged along.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. I never really thought of her as a unique character design, but
I'm overreacting. I did really I did think she was adorable though.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can discredit how adorable she was. She was very cute. But yeah, I also really liked the scene at the end, like when they're all in the bar and how that all plays out. That was like very touching. It was a very touching moment for a show that was very edgy.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what I found surprising. That's what made it like even more touching in a sense, where it's in contrast to what we've been shown and seeing, because we talked earlier, Goblin Slayer isn't someone who is super popular around there, and these are all just adventures. I love that he had to try and like sell himself away. Like, I will give you everything so you can help protect my family because I know what's coming and I can't do it on my own. And then it showed once again the best girl, the adventurer girl. Yeah, she's like, hey, I'll give gold to anyone for every goblin you slay because she knows. She knows what it means, like, to Goblin Slayer to do this and to have everyone help him. I thought that was like a really awesome scene as well.
I also like the guts, the poor man's guts being like, oh, like I'll chip in, and like the girl being like, oh, you just want to help him because he saved your village from goblins, and he told him to dere dere. It was fun.
Yeah. And I want to correct what I was saying in the impression because it's been killing me ever since. And I tried to say what I was saying at the very beginning. I still don't understand that one witch lady. I have no idea what purpose she played. Every time she was on screen, I thought she was going to do something, and she didn't do anything throughout the entire show. But what I was trying to say during the impressions was I didn't think they were trying. I wasn't sure if they were trying to give off the impression of making me uneasy. And that's what I was trying to say. And it's been killing me for like 13 weeks. I finally thought of the words I wanted to say. But yeah, it was like made me uneasy, and I don't think that's what they were going for. And I guess not, because she didn't do anything.
Also, holy shit, I was wrong. I thought the witch was Saori, because I kind of had like Saori's voice, but it was Yoko Ikasa. Also, like, looking at this, this is the first time I've looked at the staff for the cast for Goblin Slayer. Holy shit, the voice acting cast was really fucking stacked.
Yeah.
It's like kind of crazy. Like, it had Sugita, it had Aoi Yuki, it had Yoko Hikasa, it had Naotoyama, Nakamura.
To be fair, it is a White Fox show.
Oh,
and White Fox just tends to have really big, like things like Akame ga Kill.
Mm-hmm. Katana Gatari as well.
Yeah.
Steins Gate. Can't forget about Steins Gate. And
Steins Gate was just the visual novel cast, but.
Mm-hmm. And then ReZero also had a really good cast. It had like a nice mix of like newcomers and like established veterans.
Right.
So.
But
yeah.
Yeah. Goblin Slayer it was nice. It was pleasant. It was funny. And not even specifically just on the level of violence, but I think that Goblin Slayer himself. I kind of went over this, but he is a funny character.
Yeah.
Overall. And what the point I actually wanted to make was, in terms of the characters, when it has like those wholesome moments, it is nice with like the priestess kind of making him into a normal person, the Goblin Slayer. Just those nice. It just had some pretty decent characters overall. That's just what I'm saying.
Cav, did you end up watching any of this?
No, I didn't watch Goblin Slayer. I'm kind of interested in it, like mildly, because apparently it's like a decent dark fantasy anime, right?
Yeah.
It really,
Yeah, so yeah, I might watch it like at some point. Maybe if there is like a second season or something like that.
Okay.
I'll probably like get to it, but yeah, we'll see. Like,
yeah,
it's a possibility.
Yeah, before we move on, I will say that this is a decent show. I genuinely liked it. I gave it a 7.
Same.
But the reaction to this anime was way the fuck blown out of proportion. It is not that big of a deal. Like, yes, it is edgy. Yes, it's, grotesque and all those things. There are other series within the same year. Fucking Devilman Crybaby. Fucking Golden Kamuy within the same season was way more horrifying than anything in Goblin Slayer.
Kamuy. Holy shit, Golden Kamuy. What the fuck, Golden Kamuy?
I'm not necessarily mad about that, but I'm just saying,
It's because it was a normie casual show that was accessible. Crunchyroll promoted the shit out of it. It had a really edgy first episode that really drew in a lot of people, and it didn't require like knowledge of the anime medium beforehand. So I can see why it blew up the way it did.
It's actually kind of Crunchyroll's fault because they kind of blindsided everyone with that rape scene, and then after the fact, they had to put the warning on screen because they got so many complaints, probably. But yeah, if you're into this for some sort of spectacle of edge, this is not it. It's not that big of a deal. Anyway, Vanser, Fate, what did you rate it?
I also gave it a 7.
I give it a 4.
Oh, nice. Well, speaking of 4s, the next show has some sort of 4. It has 4 S's in it, rather.
Hey.
SSSS.Gridman.
I thought at first you were going to say you also gave this a 4, and I was like, wow, what a turnaround.
And I was going to be like, yo, I was like, there's going to be some fighting words.
Yeah. No. I liked this a lot. But Fate, I think you were more have a stronger opinion on this.
Yeah, for this, it's so I watched the show, and I mentioned it in impressions, but I grew up with the tokusatsu genre, watching Ultraman, because my dad was a huge fan of like the Ultraman series. I never actually watched Gridman, I don't believe, but like, watched all, like watched Gao Gaigar, watched the Brave series, and like all this mecha stuff. So like this, first of all, just like seemed like a love letter to my childhood, and so I was gonna like it regardless. But when you have like that kind of premise, I just figured like, oh, this is just gonna be a show that I like give an 8 and I enjoy, but it's not like gonna be something that like wows me. But after I kept watching, so there's this awesome website called Sakugaburu, that I would, the blog that I would highly recommend if anyone is at all interested in the anime industry. They do really good articles on directors, on production notes for episodes for certain airing shows. And one of the things I had premonitions I had while watching this is there was just something about the show and the way it was shot that really reminded me of Eva, but in a way that was not like a lot of Eva copycats that we've gotten since, where they're like, let's just take this shot from Eva and like not understand the reasoning why Anno chose that shot, or like why like this plot, or why they chose these characters, or why like they just copied it without understanding the intent behind it. But as I was watching, I was like, this director on a fundamental level like understands what Anno was trying to do in Evangelion, and is like trying to replicate that in Gridman. It's not exactly the same message that Evangelion was getting at. In Gridman, it's more a story of not secluding yourself in a fantasy world and understanding the consequences and understanding the people that you have around you and being able to open yourself up to the actual world. And so in that sense, it was like a natural successor to Evangelion. It was gorgeous. Like the way that everything seemed so fluid. The background art, the layouts were so good. Like the fact that the background art was actually hand drawn, or that some of the kaiju, like the gigantic one, when they do the fan service episode, is like actually drawn by the background artist. So like it's line art with the background art. So like it looks so ethereal compared to everything else. Like it just continually wowed me. I just found myself like entranced by the show, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like the atmosphere.
And by the end, like I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the message. I fell in love with the story. And reading through the articles on Sakugaburu had me find out that the director has long been an admirer and worked under Anno and cites him as like his greatest influence. And like when he lists his like top 5 anime, and 4 of them are at Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Wow.
So it's like you understand there, and like a lot of people from the older mecha series, the tokusatsu, like Brave series, they all like contributed it to this as such. A lot of the people who worked on the original Gridman and like Ultraman series in creating the kaiju there contributed with the kaiju designs here. The one with the puppeteer kaiju was actually drawn by none other than the famous Itano of Macross's Itano Circus fame. And he's like so old that like he actually retired from animating because he felt like he couldn't draw 2D lines straight anymore. But he did like a base sketch of it, and then they overlaid the 3D CG on top of it, and then they eliminated it by doing an Itano circus, which I thought was like a perfect like way to cycle through and like bring it full circle. So like Gridman went from a show that I thought I would just like enjoy and was like very surface level to a show that I think honestly, like, if you exclude films from this year, I think is up there with Violet for my anime of the year, and then probably cracks my top 25. I'm gonna need a rewatch for it, but just like, especially the last 3-4 episodes, and just how claustrophobic everything surrounding Akane was, just like blew me away. So
Interesting.
Fate, it was you and Shaw as well, but you in the spring retrospective, you called out Franks for how poorly they were using callbacks in that anime.
Yes.
If I didn't know any better, I would have assumed that Trigger made this show as an apology for Franks, because this show does callbacks extremely well in comparison.
So, it's funny you bring that up. So I went to the Trigger panel at Anime New York City. We weren't allowed to take notes, and we weren't allowed to record anything. And they said to keep some things on the down low. But they first of all, they started the panel by apologizing for Darling in the Franxx.
Wow. God,
it was
that's
really
insane.
fun. And then they realized like people really liked it, like at least in the audience. And then they were like, well, you can direct that praise to A1 Pictures, but really we had no real input for it after like episode 8 or 9. It went in a completely different direction than what we thought. We didn't really attribute anything creatively to that. A lot of people thought that we did once Darling in the Franxx went to space and like that whole second half. But they were like, but please trust us. We had nothing to do with that. I know they did a lot of Gainax and Trigger references, but we were not part of that. I think it was them trying to be a little like us. And then they laughed like it was a joke. But you could tell they were like, there was something there that they weren't quite comfortable with for Darling. And then so the reason you bring that up is it does feel like that. It does feel like Darling took those references without the like understanding the intent behind them. They were just like, let's just do a Gainax pose. Let's just do a Gendo pose. Let's just do the Shinji hand shot. That's fine. We could just put these in and people will get it. It's fine. Haha, funny. Referencing to Evangelion. Whereas this was like careful, like understanding, why did Ano do this? Why did Ohara do, like, why did Itano do this? Like understanding the reason why and then bringing it back to life.
Right.
So
I have seen people say that this is Ava Light, and when someone says that it's Ava Light, that's not an insult, or at least it's not supposed to be.
Right.
If an insult would be saying that it's an Ava ripoff, which is what people say about Franks.
Yeah, it's like, we're just calling it Darling in the Franxx.
You're right.
And like episode 9 of Gridman in particular, like you could tell that was obviously, it was taking notes. Like it reminds me of that one episode of Ava in the second half with Shinji in the sandbox.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and like the imagined future and whatnot, and it's just like, and it cuts back to like him on the train, and like they actually do the Shinji train shot a lot too, where like he's on the train by himself on the left side and like just sitting like in the middle of a completely empty train car and like talking to himself or like thinking or talking to someone, explaining to him like why everything is so fucked up. But yeah, to me, I feel like Evil Light kind of works, but to me it felt like natural successor to Eva is the label I would use. Cav, you have some opinions.
Interesting, because I feel like Gridman overall is a successor to many works of Gainax, not necessarily Evangelion.
Right, not just
because,
right.
Yeah, there are many topics in Gridman, like for instance, responsibility of adults, which are completely absent in this anime, which is multiple times alluded in the show. It's kind of a callback to Furikuri as well, which kind of deals with adulthood very well. And then this topic of infinity, mortality versus immortality, which is kind of a topic of Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann.
Uh-huh.
And it has its place in like the final episodes of Gridman as well. So yeah, I feel like Gridman overall has this successor like ability to this previous big shows of Gainax, which is kind of interesting. And as you've mentioned, like yourself, it treats it with respect, and at the same time it gives it a fresh spin. Like, it doesn't feel like a ripoff at all. It feels like its own show, with its own topic, with its own face, with its own charisma. And I find it to be really insanely cool. And yeah, going back to our initial impressions podcast episode, I talked about Gridman and said that it's a really interesting anime to think about, that it has a lot of going like beneath the surface, and that it's like a dark horse of the season. I feel like it completely delivered on pretty much anything, which is like a really big surprise for me, because I didn't really expect Trigger to be so on the nose with it, like so good. And it's a really, I feel like it succeeded in a pretty cool way, that it's really accessible to masses, like with all these designs, with cool directing, with some really like flashy fights, and like interesting dialogues, characters. But at the same time, it has so much to say about loneliness, about current society, about communication between people. It once again believes the main topic of the anime overall, and about responsibility, and about like so many things. Like, if you think about it, and how the plot flows together, like how it develops. After the final episode, I went back and immediately watched the first episode, and there are so many hints on how it ends. Actually, it's really mind-blowing. The characters themselves, how it's all presented, it's really, really cool. I'm like really impressed by Gridman overall. It's probably my favorite Trigger anime, I would say. It really got me like
I actually agree with that too. Like, I love Kill la Kill, but I think I would put this over Kill la Kill. And I think you put on a really good point, right? How well it tied up the ending. Because with Darleyfra, before I realized how little like Trigger contributed to the ending, as it was winding down, I was thinking like, if they don't tie this up right, this is gonna be a train wreck. Like, this is gonna be really bad unless like you have the right people in it. And I actually had that same reservation with Gridman too. I was like, if they don't handle this right, this is gonna be really bad. Because like with the whole Akane actually being like the god of the world thing, I was like, there's so many ways to fuck this up. Like, this could be really poor. Like there are 10 million ways this could be terrible, and like maybe one way this ends up actually being good. But you see in the hands of a director who understands the medium, understands the predecessors that they're following in the footsteps of, like how well they were able to wrap this up. Like, to give you a sense, in Darleyfra, in the same Trigger panel at Anime New York City, they were talking about the character designs, and they were like, oh, one of the questions was, why were the mechas in Darleyfra, why did they look like girls? Why were they so cute? And the mecha designer was like, well, I knew the director, he said he liked mechas, but he's not really a mecha fan. He directed Idolmaster, so like on a whim, I decided to make them cute girls, and he really liked it. So that's kind of what happened. And it's like, so it's like kind of a reluctance, kind of like, you don't really like mechas, but we'll make them cute so you like these mechas. Whereas here it was like, let's get these veterans of like the tokusatsu genre to do these kaiju. Let's get the people who worked on Macross, on all these old mecha, to work on the Gridman and the mechas here. Like, let's make sure everyone who has their fingerprints on this genre, on this medium, are thoroughly involved so that we can get the best of everything here. And I'd also recommend people watch the Animator Expo short from 2015 that was done by the same director as Gridman, called Boys Invent Great Hero. It's like 5 minutes. You can find it on the internet. Worth a watch, especially after watching Gridman.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
On the subject of favorite Trigger shows,
Mm-hmm.
this is also my favorite Trigger show.
Mm-hmm.
And this show actually has cemented Trigger as my favorite studio.
Damn.
At least in the current day.
Oh, wow.
And I've been thinking about this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking, because I liked Keysniver a lot.
Uh-huh.
And the style of that anime and all, it made me think, Trigger might be my favorite studio.
Uh-huh.
The thing is that the sample size was too small.
Right.
And then Little Witch Academia wasn't quite enough to convince me.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Frank's was the less said, the better. But this show is like finally the show I've been waiting for. Like that new original thing that they do that, you know, just showcase all their strengths as a studio. And the reason why I say that they're my favorite studio is not even specifically the quality of their shows, even though that is, you know, obviously a factor. But I think that Trigger has a very, very strong understanding of fundamentals when it comes to just the general design of what, you know, they need their show to be. Specifically, character design is obviously really, really important. Go to any of their shows. Character designs are, you know, Kill la Kill's designs iconic. Keysniver, I've always seen Keysniver as like an experimental show for them because it was a different type of story. Very complex character designs. You can identify them from a mile away. Even Frank's, like, people were saying that 02 was best girl of the season before the season even began, and they'll probably still convince you that they were right. I mean, even 02 is the new Ina Ryuza Riha. She's, you know, going to be really popular, even though that show has fallen apart and is forgotten. But now, Gridman, obviously, what has really propelled this show? Like, of course people like it, of course people were talking about it, but what has really been talked about? Akane has great tits. Rika has huge thighs, alright? That's what's important. Whether or not that the director's comment.
That's what I said about earlier. It's really accessible.
Yeah.
And like there are so many things to talk about, like both in casual like talk atmosphere and like depths as well.
Like, even if you haven't seen a single Ultraman tokusatsu series in your life, or haven't seen mecha before, like, it would just be so much fun to watch this. And then there's the added depth to it as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that I haven't seen a lot of mechs or even seen Ava yet. So I think it's one of those shows I'm going to have to revisit after like watching some of those. Because it's like,
very nice.
I enjoyed it, but definitely not to the extent that you guys did, because some of the references I did get, but not until like actually thinking about it or seeing a post, and I go, oh yeah, that's right, I have seen like the Shinji's like hand shot. Like I was like, oh yeah, I guess I have seen that, but I didn't notice it in the moment.
Right. Or the Asuka hand to the sky shot that they did with Auntie.
Oh,
as well.
Yeah, see, that I didn't even think about it until literally you just mentioned that. I was like, oh yeah, I do know that. So it's like this is one of those shows I'm definitely going to have to like revisit. But in the meantime, it's like I still I enjoyed the characters and I enjoyed what was happening in front of me enough to like keep watching and give it like a pretty like solid score. And before, who do you take, Rika or Akane? I have to know this.
This is to me, what's so interesting about that question is like, it almost feels like the Asuka or Rei question in Eva, where like Ano is thoroughly like, the answer is no to both. Like, because Akane is presented as such a thoroughly broken character, like a thoroughly broken human being. Yeah. Actually, which is strange in an anime. But yeah, like, she as a person is like really broken, really messed up. And Rika was literally created to like Akane. Yeah. And so like much like much like Rei is an attack on the waifu like doll culture that like otaku in the 90s had, And Asuka is also a look into like how destructive and self-destructive a person would have to be to have such a tsundere personality. To me, I felt like Rika and Akane were ways of showing that same way by luring you in with their looks, right? Because their character designs are obviously great. But luring you in and then being like, yeah, no, like, people are a lot more complex than you give them credit for sometimes. Or initially think.
Yeah. Anyone else want to comment on that?
But anyway, Akane for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Akane more as well, but more like a character. I feel like she's a very compelling character overall, and her arc, like how she progresses over the anime, is really interesting. And yeah, it's a joy to watch overall. Yeah, Akane is my choice here.
I'm a Rika guy myself.
Odd man out. Which is surprising. I thought I was going to be with an Akane choice.
So, actually, Trigger mentioned... This is going to be the last time I bring up the panel, I swear. But when because Gridman was airing when this came up, and they were like... So, in Japan, Akane... So, what they said was Akane is a lot more popular, but we hear on the West that Rika is more popular, and everyone cheered. So, I guess it is kind of strange that, like... either side could be so different, and it also feels like on the West people like more Asuka more, whereas in Japan I feel like Rei is a lot more popular there.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah,
so.
Interesting.
I also don't know if anyone,
same show, different preferences.
If anyone else thought the same thing, but I just was like, one thing especially that's also helped sell Akane was the scene on the bus when she's like whispering into Rika's ear, and it sounded like she was whispering in my ear. I was like, oh my god, this sounds like some ASMR shit.
It was Akane was terrifying, first of all. In all those scenes, it was amazing. God,
but I loved it.
I loved it too. What a great fucking voice actor. She was like relegated to a lot of roles I did not like. Like in Bakuan, she was like the really whiny main character there. I was like, Reina Ueda. But like she crushed it here. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Man, she's done. I'm looking at her roles, and she's done a bunch of characters that I just don't give a fuck about.
yeah. It's like, who, like, where did this come from? Because like with Ria Takahashi, you kind of saw it. Like talking about emerging voice actors, like Ria Takahashi, you kind of saw it in the
Konosuba.
Yeah, not even before Konosuba, in the Sorega Seiyu. Like her first major work, like you kind of saw like good voice acting there. Megumin, of course, you saw the star potential there. But like with Reina Ueda, like if anyone watched Bakuan, you would not listen to the main character and be like, yes, this is a voice actress with a lot of acting range. I can totally see her carry, because she has to like carry emotionally the weight of the show. Like I would not have expected that from her. So kudos to that. That was amazing.
Yeah. I gave this a 9.
I gave this a 9 as well, but I'm going to rewatch it, because for me, the thing I've noticed most about Trigger shows is that I like them more on rewatches. Cav, you said you already watched episode 1, but I feel like they put so much care and detail in the early episodes as it leads to the end, that they always, like on a rewatch, you always pick up on the details that they explicitly put in there that you usually wouldn't be able to pick up on a first time watch. Like I already going through the Sakugaburu blog, they talked about how it's always so hot in the show. And then when she wakes up and when they show the ED, it's like wintertime, and makes it seem like Akane hates the cold. But then in the very last scene where Akane is sitting next to Rika and then Akane disappears, not only do all the boxes disappear from the room, but the AC unit in the room disappears as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I give it a 9 as well.
Nice.
And it is my favorite anime of the year.
What?
There it is.
Oh my gosh, Cav, I love you.
It's not perfect. I don't think it's really like an ideal anime, but it's probably my favorite one overall, and one I like can call a favorite from this year. Yeah.
Sure.
Nice.
And to shoot all that down, I gave it a 7. But
that's fair.
Upon rewatch and upon watching Ava and all these other things, I might score it higher. But
this does have crazy rewatch potential.
Yeah, that'll be way in the future, and at that point, no one will care about my opinion of Gridman. So
Yeah, it is one of those shows where I feel like it really, like, watching other shows in the genre and watching the shows that inspired it will only enhance your appreciation for Gridman.
I think that this show, I know it's really popular in Japan, but I think at least over here, this is going to get more and more popular over time. This show is not, it's, I don't even think it's going to be, you know, that hidden gem that Trigger has done. I think that this show, it'll just keep rising in popularity.
Yeah, it's kind of a sleeper hit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so also Moz, you say that like the show showed how Trigger was your favorite studio. Like one of my favorite parts about this is that like Imaishi and like the formerly like big shots of Trigger weren't even working on this because they're busy working on Promare, the movie that's coming out in January.
Yeah.
So like this was really,
this was the Inferno Cop guy.
Yeah, these were like the young one, like the young kids.
The
of
B
Trigger.
team.
Yeah. The ones who have like worked as in between animators. Episode 9 was actually done by a first timer. It was his first time ever directing an episode, and he does episode 9. Like, if that doesn't tell you the depth of talent in that studio, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, he was even shouted out in the AMA Trigger did not too long. There was, like, someone who was like, oh, who in the studio is not talked about? And they're like, this guy. You need to be watching out for this guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
now it's up to...
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's up to the team A, with Imaishi as the lead, to show, like, to beat... the level of Gridman with Promare.
Yeah,
I will say that Trigger is my favorite studio now, but they also, I do expect them to deliver something of Kill La Kill like quality with Promare when we get that. Hopefully they will.
Promare.
It's, what is it really? Promare?
Promare. That's how they were pronouncing it.
Oh, okay.
Shut down.
I know it's because like it's like pro something a nightmare or whatever. So, yeah,
okay, wow. I was just thinking of the Japanese,
right? Like if you would think it, and you'd be like,
it would be like Pulo Mare,
Puro Mare, but it's pro. It's like, God,
well, fuck me for trying to be weeb. Anyway, so that's all of the brand new shows in fall. There were some others. Shit, I'm sorry. I looked away from the list and had to find it. There were some others that continued from the past season, although actually technically not this one. This one was a split cour. First half aired in spring, then it took a season off, and then it came back in fall to round it up again and kind of finish it off. So this is Golden Kamuy, second season, which I think overall just delivered on whatever the first season had and then some, actually. I think any complaints I really had about the first season were maybe not addressed, but just outright eliminated. Like, I think my biggest problem, along with many other people, is that the show didn't look good in the first season. And it didn't really look great in the second season either, but it at least looked better. Like, the staff just seemed to kind of find their footing with this.
And it was also just less CG, so it didn't stand out at you. You didn't go, oh, there's CG.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the stuff you'd look at, you'd have to pay a little more attention to notice.
And overall, there's just so much... Now that all the characters have been introduced, all the major ones anyway, there's just so much going on with the plot that it was a lot of fun to watch, honestly. Even though I can't really say... Like, there's so much going on that... And because I wasn't watching it weekly, I would just kind of... I would just be watching an episode and not even really understand what is happening, like what's been going on. But it's all written so well, and I think all the characters are so great that it just ended up being a fun episode anyway. I'm like, yeah, this show. So it was nice.
I've heard that a couple chapters ended up getting cut out towards the end, because the last episode or 2, like...
There are many chapters that are cut out.
Yeah, because I was just like, everyone's suddenly, like, backstabbing each other, and there's, like...
Yeah, I was like, apparently
That's true.
there was an
Discord,
OVA... There was
like,
an OVA that wasn't translated.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and someone in Discord was like, oh yeah, they just cut a bunch of shit, so just kind of go with it. And I was like, alright, sure. I still enjoyed it, but that last... It would have made it a lot stronger if I understood it.
Well,
better.
if there was a third season, yeah, it will, like, explain stuff.
Yeah, I still loved it.
Yeah.
Cav, do you read the manga?
I read the manga, but up to, like, where the first season ended. Okay. I'm not really caught up. But overall, I would say that the manga is superior. It's like one of the best manga I'm reading so far. Like this time, like
Yeah,
at this
that's
time.
what I've heard. Well,
It's really great. It's like so unique. It's in presentation. It's like how it's in its plot. Well, you could see it in the anime, but like how it's different from all the manga which are currently publishing.
yeah.
Like the plot, how the characters interact with each other. What really is cool about Golden Kamuy is how characters are willing to join various factions depending on their goals, and how they still interact with each other, and how they are readily available for other factions to pick them up, and that it kind of makes the whole cast very fluid. You don't really know what's gonna happen next, because here Sugimoto is with Hijikata, here he's with Tsurune, here he's alone, Ogata joins, Ogata leaves, and it's also kind of complicated, but at the same time it's so fluid, because you know that every character has their own agenda, and they don't really have to follow any faction, they follow their own goals, and that's why they kind of split up, team up all the time, and it's really makes the anime, like the story itself, really interesting.
Yeah. It's good.
I gave it an 8.
I'm enjoying it a lot. It's great. Yeah.
I also gave it an 8, which is a notable step up from... I gave the first season a 6. So...
And everyone else
I give it
better.
7. Second
Fair.
7 for me.
And I do want to pick up the manga, because I do think this would be a really great manga.
Mhm.
And this is something that I get the impression that a third season probably would happen, but not for like 5
Yeah,
years.
it'll be a little bit.
Chihaya fruit. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna disagree a little bit. I liked it, but I didn't love it. It was just
that's
it was like a wacky humor thing again that I just wasn't a huge fan of.
Right.
I loved certain scenes, but again, certain other times I was like, who the heck is this guy? Why are they like betraying them? What is going on here? And I
that
felt
was a
like
little bit
very lost.
sloppy, yeah.
Yeah, and so because of the ending especially, I ended up giving this a 5. But
Big
like
alleys.
it's one of those things that where like I would definitely watch a season. It's not like a 5. I hated this. Like this was such a. It was like probably before the ending, it would have been like I would have had to debate between like a 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But the ending just left such a sour taste in my
Yeah.
mouth that it like made it drop like a tank.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I thought, like, I almost dropped it to a 7, but I thought I enjoyed it. Because I think I gave Season 1 a 7, so I'm like, I enjoyed it more than Season 1. And really, this is the last couple episodes, so I decided I'd keep it at an 8.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough, yeah. I also realized the depth which they gave to the characters in this season. Like flashbacks with Ogata and Tanigaki. How their characters were established, what kind of painful past they had. It was really cool. Really interesting.
I will also say I was really appreciative because the entire time, and I mentioned this I think during the whatever season first season came out, that I was really disappointed that I didn't know the name of the main character. Like I felt like if there was like a nickname, he could tell us that he was
Come
called.
on.
It'd be great.
I meant to say this as soon as we started. I meant to say, alright, I was thinking about this, I was like, alright, it's coming up. First thing I'm going to say is I'm going to remind Fate what his name is.
Yeah.
His name,
forgot.
and he says it at the end. They say it at the end. His
They
name
say
is
this
the
at the
immortal Sugimoto.
Yeah.
It's got that name
Yeah,
amnesia.
finally. He's a badass. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
So Golden, yeah, it's nice. And then the last show we have for you is Banana Fish, which was carried over from the summer season. I didn't stick around to watch this, but I heard it was all right. What do you guys think?
I never even started it.
I heard
Ouch.
some things from some friends, but
Oh,
that's
it actually
hearsay.
has a really
Kev is the only
high-
one who saw it. Well, here you go. You get to close
It
it
actually
out.
has a really high score on Well, which is kind of surprising for me. I feel like it's a fair show overall. So yeah, I liked it a lot. Is a first like
Ooh.
half of it. It's like a cool drama, like a crime drama, thriller kind of, which revolves around the guy called Ash, who is like a really perfect guy with literally 200 IQ.
So he's you.
Well,
Come on. He is perfect in anything, in shooting, in hacking, in figure out everything. Has perfect judgment in all his situations he's put on into. Yeah, he's like super great, but he's like has a really painful past, and he finds comfort in this Japanese guy called Eiji, who he is trying to protect. And Eiji finds Ash's weakness, like mental weakness, that he's so fragile inside. And he tries to comfort him as well. And this kind of relationship is not really healthy. Both of them, as I understand, that Eiji is not really belonging into this crime world, and Ash knows that Eiji is in danger being with Ash because everyone is going to exploit his weakness. And it's kind of interesting, like the whole setup, the whole atmosphere of like a crime in New York. There are like several gangs. There are like some kind of peculiarity surrounding the mystery, the banana fish drug, which makes people do whatever their master says to them. But overall, it's really tanked in the second half, where it literally revolved around the same plot loop, where one of the characters is kidnapped and the other party is trying to rescue them. And with some kind of losses, they managed to do it, just so they could be kidnapped again. And it literally happened like 3 or 4 times in a row with different characters. And it felt so stupid to me, and really threw me out of the loop for the show. Because, well, why would you really create the same like story trick like 3 or 4 like times in a row? It's really stupid. Like, why? And then it became so melodramatic. Like, let's like recap what Banana Fish is. It's based on a shoujo manga of late 80s. So it's like really old manga, and it's shoujo. So it is it has some peculiarities, like really kind of weird humor at times, and like some kind of gay, not so undertones, like
Very much
complete
overtones.
like overtones. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's like just peculiarities. You guys have to deal with them, and in the second half, like characters started to act so melodramatic in such a melodramatic way, overreact. There is a guy called Yutlan who is like a leader of the Chinese clan, and he became such a drama queen in the second half. His character was completely ruined, and he's not the only one. Like, many of them were just kind of really, like, they acted not like criminal leaders, like you would assume, like, from a show such as Black Lagoon, for example.
Yeah.
But as teenagers, really. It really was not what I was looking for. Still, the ending was solid, and overall experience was kind of good. So yeah, it's a decent show overall. I just don't really think it was that great. In our initial impressions, we compared it to 91 Days, which is another like crime drama, which was which was placed in America, and I felt like it was better overall because it was like more tightly narrated over like one core instead of 2 cores of Banana Fish, where it dragged like a whole lot in the second half. So yeah, it's a fair show, it's alright. It has its moments, but it's nothing really too special or spectacular. So yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
Now, Vanser, you have
I got a little bit of
couple shows.
a Vanser lightning round for a bunch of shows
Boom,
that
boom,
none of
boom.
you watched.
Let's
that
go.
I want to either recommend or just open someone's eyes to, or ears, or whatever you want to open.
Alright.
So, I watched Skullface Bookseller Honda-san, which was the 11-minute short that came out this year about the bookseller. As someone who's worked...
I regret not picking that up.
It was actually
I've
a
heard really
really
good
fun
things about
watch.
that.
It was one of those shows where it's like, kind of like very... I don't know how to explain it. It's very comfy almost, but not in a good sense, and like too relatable. This is like, because I work at a movie theater, so I know what it's like to work with a lot of customers at the time. And this whole show is just Bookseller Honda-san just selling, works at a manga store, like a bookstore, and just getting all these different customers and having to deal with their problems and answer phones. One that I like really felt was like when the phone's ringing, because you have no idea what question's on the other side and whether or not you can answer it in like a timely manner with customers like in your store that are going to come up to you. So he's like petrified of his phone. He picks up and it's like a super easy question. He's like, oh, that was so nice. It was just an easy question. I got to hang up right away. And I've felt that many times working at the theater where the phone rings. I'm like, am I going to have to like read off every movie and tell them what every single one is about? Or is it just going to be like, are you open? So it's like, I totally understand that fear, and it has a lot of like great, like reaction, gifs and like photos that you can use. I thought it was like a lot of fun. I don't know if did any of you watch any of it at all?
No, but I wish I did.
Yeah,
I'll have to.
Yeah, I might watch it in the future, yeah.
I really recommend it. Especially 11 minutes. It's really good. It's worth your time for sure. I also watched Double Decker, which I didn't do a great job explaining in the impressions. It's like a group of people outside of the police, or they're like detectives that work with a very specific drug called Anthem, and it can use like, it boosts your like strength or whatever. It turns you almost kind of like an animal, and it like, the people become like very dangerous and very like erratic, and it's them like they have to go in and like cure them or kill them. I don't remember exactly what the bullet does. It like gets it out of their system. That was pretty good. I enjoyed a lot of the beginning. It's a lot of mix of comedy and buddy cop type humor. And but towards the very end, I enjoyed it. The very end of the show is honestly really good because they dive into the it's like doctors using it, because if they were testing it on people to try and find the perfect dosage to use it like as a medical purpose. And I thought that was like a really cool deep dive where it's like these doctors are trying to do good by giving them an antidote and like making all the pain go away, but it's like these drugs are like illegal and you can't use them. But it's like that whole same sort of thing going on with like medicinal marijuana. That whole kind of talk goes on in the last couple episodes, and there's a lot of just like really cool action in the show. Thought that was a lot of fun. And I know there are a couple people in Discord that also really enjoyed it and were disappointed I didn't talk about it more. I don't remember who it was now, to be honest. But so that was good. Conception is a phenomenal train wreck. Maybe not worth your time, but definitely we're plugging it again. The Nutcast with Colonel Panic. It's definitely worth your time, and you can find it just on YouTube. And you can hear other people on the podcast who have not even been on the podcast before, like Nix was on one of the episodes, and I was surprised to see he hasn't even been on our anime one. So if you want to meet the cancer of the Discord, I want to say he's like episode 2 or 3. Or no, he's not. I'm going to say he's like episode 5. You can find a little bit of Nix.
He'll be on soon.
Okay, cool. And then I watched Release the Spice, cute moe spy show. It was pretty good. Once again, the ending was the strongest point for that. So if you enjoy the beginning, I recommend keeping up with it, because the ending I think is worth it. There's a lot of like cool spy mechanics, cool weapons they have, a lot of like traitor, double agent spy, crazy nonsense that goes on at the end that I think is really cool. And then we didn't mention Run with the Wind, but I'm just gonna. I don't know what anyone else's opinion on it, but I am loving that show right now. I don't know what anyone else thinks of it, but I think I have it at like a high 8 or a 9 right now.
Oh.
I don't know if that's polarizing to any of you or not.
I have no opinion of it, but that's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
And then
All right.
this one I'll just mention. I have a rant on Fairy Tail, but I'll save it because I know no one gives a shit about Fairy Tail.
Fairy Tail podcast win.
Yeah, dude.
Fairy Tail
Dude,
final season podcast.
I was. Yeah, Fate, have me on. If you do that, have me on for that.
Yeah, how about the adaptation? Because I hated the manga arc. I don't know if you read the manga arc.
No, I don't have time to read manga. But no,
okay.
Some of the things that's frustrating. It's just such stupid nonsense.
Yep, that's Fairy Tail.
And
that seems like it's a pretty accurate adaptation.
Like, oh, these guys are so bad. They're gonna summon a demon god. I think is what its name was, a god demon of destruction. We're gonna kill everyone in this town as a sacrifice, and then we could be able to summon him. And then 5 people stop 2,000 people from killing anyone. And they're like, well, it's a good thing I cut off my own face, and I'm using that to sacrifice it. If you already cut off your own face, you don't need to sacrifice a town, your face is already gone. So the dude comes out of the sky, everyone's like, oh no, he's a big bad guy, he's a demon god who's 3 mountains tall, or whatever the fuck. And Natsu's he's like, oh, I don't know if we can defeat this guy. He watches the demon god, step on one of his, accomplices or whatever the fuck, just some random no-name. He's like, you don't like your friends? They're helping you. And then everyone's like, yeah, what's wrong with you, demon god? And then Natsu just runs up his, 8-mile-long sword, runs up, hits him in the face, it does nothing. They're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And then everyone starts smiling. It's like, Natsu's got this, even though he shouldn't have it. And he just starts preaching about friendship. Because
he has the power of Nakama.
He starts preaching about friendship. He's like, you don't kill your allies. What's wrong with you, demon god? Punches him in the face again and kills him. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
That's Fairy Tail. That's Fairy Tail.
And it was so Fairy Tail. And it's like, this demon god killed in 10 minutes. And I'm just like, what's the point? Just don't have that in there. I talked in the impressions, I hope the whole season's just them trying to find everyone. And, it's just, I wanted it to be him trying to find everyone, and then, one big final battle or whatever. They found anyone worth mentioning in the first, 3 to 5 episodes. So, my thing went completely out the window. So that's all I have to say about this. The Vanser lightning round that maybe went a little bit too long.
Also watch Anima Yell. It was very cute, very fun. My favorite Kirara show of the season, of the year. Close to Comic Girls, but up there. So, yeah.
All right, and that about does it for the Fall 18 season, which then actually does it for the entire year. we did it, guys. We did it.
We got that bread.
Yeah.
Yep. What a year it's been. Thank you, everybody, for spending it with us in the Baja Blast podcast. It's been great. Hopefully you'll be around for us in the next. I'm sorry, I'm really tired. I can't talk anymore. Jesus Christ.
Well, please join us back for our winter 2019 impressions. We'll be excited to have you guys on.
Shit.
Yes. Oh, it's gonna be so much fun. We might also have an episode, a very special episode, like we did last year, that takes all the seasons in review. So be on the lookout for that. We've got a lot of cool projects and collabs coming up in the new year. New year, new us, new you, new Toko. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. So be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We're really close to 3,000 subscribers. I don't know if you guys noticed.
We're really
oh my god.
Oh man, it's going to be
I say
nuts.
we as if I'm haven't been.
I mean,
speaking of 3,
it's a community. It's a community. Yes.
Speaking of 3, we just did the hentai episode, which is our biggest episode ever.
Of course it is.
Totally check it out because it's so hype.
It's crazy. We have a special live stream episode coming up. It's going to be out already by the time this episode is out, but you should check that out. And we're going to try and see if you guys like the live stream episodes. So let us know what you think of that. Be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, on Simplecast, on iTunes, anywhere you listen to podcasts in general. And thanks so much for keeping up with us this entire year and throughout all the seasons. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
And thank you, Vance, for coming on to the podcast and letting us know about all the shows that you
watched.
That was great.
Anyone watching that isn't part of the Discord, feel free to come along. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, also, join the Discord. The links are in the description. You can always join. We're always there. We're always willing to talk about anime.
There are plenty of people who are there that know much less about anime than you do, like myself, for example.
So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
2,910 subs. So we're 90 away from about, or 3,000.
Ooh, so close, so close. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Maz, you want to close this out?
And he's out.
We lost Maz. Alright.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Stay
Toodaloo.
tuned.
I have amnesia.